Welcome to episode 382, where I'm speaking with Vaidya Princy Prasad about bone health. We talk about the Ayurvedic understanding of bone tissue and how to incorporate a diet and lifestyle that will promote good bone health and prevent any bone problems. We also talk about how menopause and aging can affect our bone tissue. So please stay tuned. Hi there, I'm your host Colette, and on this podcast I will be sharing the teachings of Ayurveda, yoga, and holistic health practices. Now, if you're new to Ayurveda, I recommend checking out the first couple of episodes where I do an introduction to Ayurveda and the mind-body types. Thanks for listening, and now here's a new episode. This episode is sponsored by Kerala Ayurveda. Welcome to today's episode with Vaidya Princy Prasad, a highly qualified Ayurvedic practitioner and key member of the Kerala Ayurveda team. With years of experience and an in-depth knowledge of Ayurvedic medicine, Vaidya Princy is dedicated to healing and empowering others. If you're ready to master Ayurveda, Kerala Ayurveda Academy offers world-class certification programs led by experts like Vaidya Princy. Learn directly from the traditional Vedic texts and gain the skills to transform lives. Apply today and save $100 with the code ELEMENTS100. That's ELEMENTS100. Learn more at keralaayurveda.us/courses, and you'll find all that info in the show notes. Welcome back to the Elements of Ayurveda podcast. I'm very happy to welcome today Vaidya Princy Prasad, who is an educator and practitioner of the science of life, Ayurveda. Trained by experienced Vaidyas of Kerala, she has a special focus on orthopedic management and also diverse health conditions. Obtaining her degree in Ayurvedic medicine and surgery and a master's degree in surgery from Kerala University of Health Sciences. She continued her research studies in Gujarat Ayurveda University for the fulfillment of Doctor of Philosophy. Having a clear understanding of principles of Ayurveda, patient care, research, and development, she worked under AYUSH ministry in India and is currently working with Kerala Ayurveda USA based in California. Vaidya Princy is passionate about teaching Ayurveda and has authored articles in Ayurveda in reputed journals and is the subject editor of International Journal for AYUSH case reports as well. Vaidya Princy, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Colette. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation on bone health and such a really important topic, especially as we age. So what I'd like to start with, Vaidya Princy, is the understanding of bone tissue or asthi dhatu in Ayurveda. Can you go over the basics for us, please?
Yeah, sure. See, Ayurveda believes that we humans are a part of this universe, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like a microcosm in that macrocosm. So the 5 elements, that is earth, fire, air, water, and space, which is forming all the structures in the universe, is distributed in a certain proportion in our body, and our body tissues are also formed. So the tissues, organs are made with these 5 elements in certain proportions. And the asthi dhatu, the bone tissue, is also formed from these elements. So basically, we are what we eat, drink, breathe, and feel. And, in Ayurveda, we believe in a principle like increases like. That means whatever is having similar properties to our bone tissue or any other tissue can increase the tissues in our body, right? So among the 7 tissues in our body, bone tissue or asthi dhatu comes around like the 6th level. So before that, whatever we eat or whatever we consume changes its form, and the nutrients are absorbed and formed. At first, it's like circulating nutrients, and then slowly it nourishes the blood, and then the muscles, then the fat tissue, and then reach into the bone tissue, and it nourishes the bone tissue. So when you think about the nutrients, it shows some kind of affinity towards this bone tissue. So certain components in our diet or in our lifestyle showing this kind of special affinity for the bone tissue just joins the bone tissue and maintains its health.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And so you mentioned there that there's certain things in our diet that have an affinity towards the bone tissue. So how can we ensure good bone health?
Of course, that's a good question, because nowadays we hear this a lot about the bone supplements and the food items that can nourish the bone tissue, right? So people are running after this kind of supplements that can nourish and keep their body healthy. But the supplements are to nourish and to maintain the health. So too much supplements is not going to nourish your body or keep your health like more on the like better side, right? So it is to optimize our tissues health. So if you're deficient in something, if you're deficient in some tissue or some nutrients, you can just have that things through your food and through your consumption to nourish it, right? So you need to make sure that whatever you are putting into your body has to be properly digested, metabolized, and absorbed into your system. So here we need to make sure that, okay, we are eating and we are consuming the things that is needed for the bone health. But one more thing we need to ensure is like it is properly metabolized as well. So we need to have a good digestive fire to help with this process, help the body to process it, metabolize it, and absorb it. So rather than thinking about or running after this kind of supplements and nutrients, it is okay to take this if you're deficient, but it is more important to make sure that you are having a good digestion to help with this process, to help with the absorption of these nutrients. Here also we need to think about the affinity. So if you can include substances which contains more affinity towards this bone health, it will directly go and nourish or strengthen the bone tissue. So when you choose these kind of things, you need to be very wise and very careful. It's not like eating anything can improve the bone health. We can choose substances containing this vitamin D and calcium, which will be nourishing the bone. Things like sesame seeds, for example, sesame seeds or like these nuts, soaked and peeled nuts, and seeds in general. They are very balanced. They are having this enough vitamin D, calcium in it, and also they are having some oils. So In Ayurveda also we include this kind of seeds like sesame seed, for example. We are using the sesame seed as the main ingredient in one of our bone strengthening formulation. It is processed in milk and then it is added to other ingredients and made into a formulation which is supporting the bone healing and bone strengthening. So the bone supplements, whether it is vitamin D, calcium, or whatever it is, should be given to the body with a suitable medium or vehicle which can facilitate the delivery or the transformation of this thing to the bone tissue. And like I mentioned, we need to make sure that the digestion is happening properly so that these nutrients can reach the bone tissue and strengthen it. So we are using herbal products and also some mineral things like cowrie shells, processed and purified and added to this kind of formulation, which is rich in calcium and it can supplement the vitamin D also. And vitamin D, as you know, it is processed in our body. It's not like delivered to our body. It is processed inside our body. So enough exposure to sunlight will help the body to process it. So maintaining or ensuring that the inputs that we are giving to the body are healthy and having enough bone strengthening supplements and ensuring the digestion will help to make the bone healthier.
Yes, absolutely. And good point that the Agni, the digestive fire, needs to be working efficiently so that we're breaking down our food and that it's assimilated so that it goes through that nourishing process, nourishing all the tissues of the body, as you mentioned earlier. I'm going to jump in here because I want to let you know of my upcoming digestive reset cleanse. In this podcast episode, we're talking a lot about the importance of the strength of your Agni, your digestive fire, making sure that your Agni is working efficiently in digesting, absorbing, and assimilating your food so that you can prevent dis-ease in the body and mind. And my next group discounted cleanse starts March 28th. This is a group cleanse. It comes with a private community so we can support each other and hold each other accountable. And it also comes with a 90-minute online consultation with me so that I can tailor the cleanse to you and to your lifestyle. And during this cleansing process, we'll be eliminating any accumulation of toxins or ama in the body, balancing vata, pitta, and kapha doshas, and bringing your body and mind into a state of balance. So if you're interested in joining this group cleanse on March 28th, then check out the link in the show notes or visit my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. For the March 28th group discounted cleanse, go to the events page. And if that date doesn't work for you, you can choose a private cleanse. You'll find the private cleanse under programs. That's where you get to choose your own dates and you have me one-to-one for support. So I hope you can come join us, and I look forward to supporting you on this cleansing journey and resetting your digestive system. Okay, let's get back to my conversation with Vaidya Princy. Best to have these bone supplements in their natural form, right? So that it's recognizable to the body rather than a synthetic supplement.
Yes, true. It is very true. So if you can improve your diet, if you can include it in your diet itself in the form of food items or like the vegetables, when you pick those vegetables, if you can make sure that it is coming naturally to your body, then that's the best way to ensure that that proper digestion and metabolism. So let me continue with that. Like when you come to the diet and lifestyle that can be followed in ensuring this bone health, we may have to think a few more things according to the Ayurvedic principles. So this bone tissue and the the Vata dosha. We have three energies in our body controlling all our functions. So Vata dosha is mainly controlling all kind of movements in our body, right? And Pitta is responsible for digestion and metabolism and the all kind of transformations happening in the body is done by this Pitta dosha. And one more energy is there, that is the Kapha dosha, which is responsible for the stability and the total nourishment of the body. So when you think about the bond and these energy factors, bond and this Vata dosha is directly connected. That means Vata is dwelling mainly in this bond tissue, and they are directly connected. That means if one goes out of control, the other one will also get affected. So we need to make sure that these three energy factors in our body, that is Vata, Pitta and Kapha, are also very balanced so that the bond is also healthy. So whatever you consume or whatever you drink in the form of water, beverages, whatever it is, you need to make sure that it is helping with the balancing of these three energies. So rather than thinking about just bond and bond strengthening diet and lifestyle, when you come to the food items, you need to think about a total balance of these three doshas, that is Vata, Pitta and Kapha. We go through this variations every day, like depending on the changes in the season, changes in the day, in the sun, moon appearance. We may show some variations in these three energies in our body, but the body has the ability to keep it under control, to keep it balanced. But sometimes due to our diet and lifestyle, it goes out of control. So if it goes out of control, we need to bring it back to the balance. That is our goal. When you think about the diet and lifestyle, that's our goal. Of course, we can include the calcium containing or calcium rich or vitamin D rich supplements in our food as a natural source. But it's all about the energies in our body. So if we can keep all these energies in a balanced state, we can ensure the health of all the tissues, including bone tissue as well.
Great. And can you talk a little bit more about the inverse relationship between particularly the Vata dosha and asthi dhatu and the bone tissue?
Sure. See, some tissues are directly connected, like when the Pitta dosha or Pitta or the fire is increasing in our body, then obviously it can increase or show some kind of aggravation in the blood also, because they are directly connected. So when Pitta dosha is increasing, then Rakta vitiation is also increasing. So that means they are directly connected. But in case of Vata and Bone, we see that they are inversely connected. Inversely connected means when the Vata is more, the bonds becomes weak. And when the bonds are becoming weak, it allows more Vata to get in and takes that vacant spaces in that bone tissue. And we can see a lot of Vata aggravation in the bone, leading to further degeneration, pain, and features like osteoporosis in bone and joints. So we cannot allow this imbalance to dwell in that bone tissue. So we need to keep the bone healthy so that no more vacant spaces like osteoporosis or like degeneration is not happening in the bone, and it will not provide an environment for the vata to reside in that bone tissue. So if you can make it healthy, make it like strong, then the vata cannot affect your bone tissue. So keeping vata under control at the same time maintaining the strength of the bone is very, very important. So when you think about this do's and don'ts in your diet and lifestyle, I would say whatever can favor the vata increase in our body should be avoided, because it has an inverse relation with this asthi dhatu, right? When you allow your vata to aggravate in your body, it can in turn weaken your bone tissue. So avoiding anything that can aggravate the vata energy, for example, raw food, which is very cold. So vata is having very cold features. So anything which is very cold and very dry and very much fried can increase the vata dosha in your body. So the vata energy is naturally having the properties like lightness, dryness, and roughness, and it is more mobile. So if you do activities which are like fast running, with like too much of exertion, and if it is aggravating or if it is depleting your body, it can easily affect your bone tissue, right? So I think you need to avoid all these factors which can lead to vata aggravation in your body. Like raw food is going to increase your vata, dry foods, fried chips like items can obviously increase the vata in your body. Then cold beverages can generate this kind of vata in general in your body. So if your bone is already a weak point in your body, then it is so easy for this vata to get into that weak point, that is the bone in your body. And then you are in trouble, because you are allowing the vata, the aggravated vata, to get into that bone, and it will get a chance to do its things. Like pain is the feature of vata. Then stiffness is like a bone stiffness, roughness is a feature of vata, and it can dry up the fluids in that joints. So all these features are seen in advanced stages of osteoporosis and osteoarthritis type of cases. So our goal should be like, don't allow the aggravation of vata to happen in your body, and don't allow the bonds to become weak. So this weakness of the bond, which is allowing the vata to reside and to aggravate in the bond tissue and causing pain, will not happen. So nourishing the bond, keeping it healthy, will help the vata to do its other functions, like the normal functions, talking, walking. It will focus on those functions. It will not come and affect this bone tissue. So then comes the question, like, what are the things with which we can help this bone strength, right? Strengthening. So, like I discussed, sesame seeds, nuts, soap nuts, all of them are having enough nutrients which can fill this gaps that can happen in the bone tissue. And also there should be a vehicle like milk and dairy products like yogurt, ghee. They are very good vehicle or medium for delivering this kind of calcium and vitamin D, which are essential for this bone health. So adding more dairy products or milk or dairy products into your diet is definitely going to help this process. And also anything which is having a very hard texture, like when you feel the vegetables, like when it is strong or snap, that should be generally good for this kind of bone health, because bone is also strong in structure, right? And it can snap, it can break. So if you're following that like increases like principle, anything which is strong, anything which can snap, like the nuts and the seeds, is generally good for bone. That is how nature is making those things. You just need to observe these kind of features in your vegetables and food items and just follow this. If you're eating a lot of mushy kind of things, that is not going to help the bone, but rather like strong things can help your strong bones as well. So coming to more options in vegetables like moringa or drumsticks, then adding sesame seed, the same sesame seed, into your food items. Then dark green leafy vegetables. They all are rich in bone strengthening nutrients. But you need to make sure that it is well cooked and easily absorbable forms for the better digestion and absorption. So rather than eating all these vegetables in its raw form, if you are just cooking it, like you can just steam cook it or stir fry all these vegetables and adding enough spices, like digestive spices, not too warm, like too heating spices, but just the warming spices to help with the digestion and absorption. If you can cook like this and have it with your food items rather than in raw form, it will help in easy absorption and delivery of these nutrients to the bone tissue. And don't forget adding this vehicle or medium like the milk and dairy products usually helps in the absorption of these nutrients. And one more thing I just want to add to this context. Like increases like, right? So if you're deficient in bone tissue, the best supplement, as mentioned in Ayurveda, is cartilage, bone cartilage. So if you're a non-vegetarian, then like meat soup or like bone broth or cartilage is the direct source of this bone tissue. But when you think about the vegetarian options, the vegetables that is very hard, which can snap and which is very rough in texture and contains some oil in it, will be much balanced for the bone health.
Great. Thank you for all that information. So can you give us an example of some of those vegetables, just a few examples?
Sure. See, the vegetables are also made of these 5 elements, right? These 5 elements. So when you think about the squash vegetable, it's full of water in it, full of water, right? And when you think about the potatoes and the root vegetable, it's mostly containing the earth material in it. Earth is the element in it. And when you consider the green beans or podded beans or this kind of like flat beans or string beans, whatever beans, or green peas also, it contains a lot of fiber and water and enough proteins in it, right? So even if you don't consider them as that calcium rich or vitamin D rich, it contains all these elements which are needed for the bone tissue. So if you can include this kind of like green podded peas and beans into your diet, and when it is fresh, you can easily snap those vegetables, right? So they are really good for the bone health because it contains enough water in it, fiber in it, which helps with the digestion and the elimination. Then also the beans, which are really rich in protein, will help in nourishing in all those muscles and associated structures of the bone, supporting structures of the bone. So when your first few tissues are healthy, it can definitely transfer the nutrients to the next tissue, that is the bone tissue. So first tissues, if the blood is healthy, the muscles are healthy, then it will go on nourishing the bone tissues as well. So when you think about the options, this kind of vegetables which can snap and which can have these things, like the protein is there, fibers are in more, and if it is balanced with enough water in it, that will help in the digestion, and that will directly go to the bone tissue, right?
Wonderful. Great. Thank you. That's great information. And you mentioned there the warming spices to aid digestion rather than the very pungent ones. So examples of that would be like cumin and ginger and black pepper, right? Nothing too pungent, staying away from the cayenne and the chili and the very hot spices, correct?
Oh, yes, correct. Because see, if they are very heating, then it can increase the pitta dosha in your body, right? Pitta dosha, fire in your body. So fire means it's like it can burn anything in your body. So we need a controlled burning. We need a controlled burning in your body to help with the digestion and metabolism. If it becomes uncontrolled, the fire becomes uncontrolled, and if more vata is joining, then it becomes like a wildfire. It can burn anything in your body. We cannot have a control over that. So keeping the vata under control and having a mild warming spices. Cumin is the best example. Cumin, then we have this black pepper, rather than eating the chili and all, which can be irritating in your gut. Having black pepper and coriander is also really wonderful spice. Coriander and cilantro leaves are also really good. Then cardamom is really good. So these spices are heating, but not too heating. It cannot just let the fire just to burn everything. It will act in a controlled manner. Okay, it will help with the digestion. It gives a nice flavor to the food also, because if we think about the healthy food, the first thing that comes to mind is like, oh, no flavor, no color, nothing is there. There should be flavor, there should be color. So only then our mind will accept those kind of food. And the food, when it smells nice, when it looks nice, it gives that kind of stimulation to the mind and to the digestive system. So these spices, warming spices, actually help in stimulating this kind of digestive system. But like I said, it cannot be too warming, too heating, but a mild warmth is enough to stimulate this digestive system.
Great. Yes. And as always, this is general advice, but I always recommend that you seek guidance from an Ayurvedic professional so that it's tailored to you. And it takes the guesswork out of what foods and lifestyle you should be following for your particular prakruti, which is your birth constitution, and your current vikruti, which is if you have a current imbalance. But this is such good advice, Vaidya Princy. And before we move off the foods, you mentioned bone broth, which, as you said, it's very good for bone health, and also sesame seeds, because they are one of the foods that has the highest amount of calcium. So something like tahini as well. But one more thing I wanted to cover, which I think is very important with bone health, is fats, good fats in the diet. The fat tissue, of course, Meda dhatu is the tissue prior to asthi dhatu, the bone tissue. So can you talk about the importance of good fats in the diet for bone health?
Sure, that's a very good point. Before bone tissue, the Meda dhatu, or the fat tissue, is formed in our body. So the metabolism of fat tissue is helping to nourish the bone tissue as well. So that is how the body's tissue metabolism is happening. And we need to make sure that the fat that we are having is healthy. It's not like just any fat, right? It should be healthy. Fat can be in different forms. It can be in the ghee form, or in the just the oil, cooking oil, right? Or the animal fat itself. These are the different fat that is available. So the dairy products, the milk and the dairy products are the ready source of this fat. So you can have this healthy fat through this kind of dairy products. Then coming to the cooking oil, it's very important because you can see that ghee, which is a clarified butter, it's very soothing. It's very soothing and nourishing for the body, and it helps in igniting the digestive fire. So when you can add this ghee into your diet, or when you can use ghee as the cooking oil, instead of cooking oil, if you can use ghee, that is the best way to ensure the process of metabolism in your body. So it can improve the agni, and it can ensure the smoothness of the tissues, and it can favor the transformation of the tissues as well. But other than ghee, what are the options? Any traditional cuisine, when you look at any traditional cuisine, you can see that they have been using this kind of naturally available oil for many, many years as a part of their traditional cooking, right? So if you look at the southern parts of India, I can say that we use a lot of coconut oil. Because coconut trees are plenty available there, and it's easy to get the coconut oil. And as many generations have lived on that area, our genetics is also matching with that coconut oil and the structure of the coconut. So the oil is very suiting for our body, and suiting for our the seasons also. And I have heard some of the senior, very experienced heart specialists talking about this oils. Like coconut oil is like breast milk for the body. So that means it is suiting to our tissues. So if you can use coconut oil in your food items, it is very light. It is not that much heating. Instead, it is cooling, and it is containing enough linoleic acid, oleic acid, and all, which are considered as more like healthy fat, right? And avocado oil or olive oil, they are all used in the traditional cooking practices. So naturally available, this oils which are being used in the traditional cooking always help in this kind of supplementation of the natural fat, and it is easy to digest inside our body. But when we try to use different fats which our gut is not used to, it can create some kind of indigestion inside your body. So adding this kind of healthy fat to your cooking will facilitate the digestion, metabolism, and the easy delivery of this calcium and this necessary nutrients to the bone tissue. So you can choose this kind of traditional oils, but ghee is always better because it is good for igniting the agni. So if you can add ghee into the diet, and then some milk or some dairy products into the diet, whatever calcium containing food you are eating, it will separate that calcium and it will be absorbed into your bone tissues.
Great. Thank you for that. And I think it's just important to mention as well, on top of that, is that to choose organic cold pressed oils rather than refined oils, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure people understand that, because refined oils are heat processed, which changes the qualities of the oils. So make sure that your oils are cold pressed, which is more in their natural form. So much good information there, Vaidya Princy. Thank you very much. And so now I'd like to talk about the effect of aging, and for women, menopause, and for men, andropause, on our bone health. Of course, the transition of menopause and andropause are at the start of that stage of the wisdom stage of life, the vata stage of life. So I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that and the effects of these transitions on our bone health.
We human beings, as we grow, we go through this kind of three different phases, like the kapha phase, pitta phase, and vata phase. So when we are young, when we are a child, it's like a kapha phase. We are growing, right? We are growing. We are collecting all the nutrients, and we are growing, and we are building up our tissues. So that's a kapha phase. It's a kapha phase in our body. So the bonds are also growing up, right? Bonds are also growing. And as we become older, like when we become adolescent, it's like pitta phase. We are very active, and we have that fire energy in our body. We are running after a lot of things, like running after our job, money, and everything. So we are very active, very much active in our pitta phase. Then we enter into the vata phase. Vata phase is like the third phase, or the final phase in our body. It's like the wisdom phase, where you gain all the information and you use those wisdom in your life. And also you get a lot of vata in your body, right? So naturally we see the change of pitta to vata in the third phase of your life. But it's natural. It need to happen normally, like in a healthy way. But some of us can experience a lot of imbalances when you go to the vata phase, because of the wrong diet and lifestyle that we might follow in your like pitta phase, or when as you're entering into the vata phase also. If you're following some wrong diet and lifestyle, we may enter into the vata phase with a lot of imbalances. If that imbalances are favoring the aggravation of the vata, then again we are in trouble. So more vata means it is inversely affecting the bone health. So that kind of inverse connection can lead to more like degeneration in the bone and osteoporosis, and leading to like osteoarthritis later in the life, and more pain can be there. So keeping vata under control during this phase is very, very important. And so how to keep this vata under control when you are going into that vata phase? How to keep this vata under control? You can do some kind of like oil application, like a general abhyanga, shiro abhyanga, head massage, foot massage, which will try to keep the vata under control externally. And internally, the fats, the healthy fats that we have discussed so far, and the dairy products that we have discussed, they're all very unctuous. So if you have a good Agni, if you can have this kind of unctuous things in your diet, it will help to keep this vata under control. So external alleviation, internal alleviation, keeping the body hydrated with all these things help to keep the vata under control. And that can in turn help in strengthening the bone tissue as well. In vata phase of your life, or as you get older, naturally the vata can get aggravated if you are not following a healthy diet and lifestyle. the same goes with the menopause also. Menopause is like a transition phase of uterus. So the active reproductive stage of the uterus is coming to an end, right? And it's like active phase means it's a pitta phase. So the pitta phase, active phase of the uterus is changing into the vata phase of the uterus. So that transition also should happen naturally, smoothly, without any imbalances, without any events. But sometimes we can see that in many women, they are experiencing a lot of hot flashes, then dryness in their body, then mood swings can be there. And osteoporosis is a very, very important feature that we can see in this kind of like postmenopausal women. And why is that happening, right? Why is that happening? Because the transition is supposed to be smooth. The pitta to vata transition during the menopause is supposed to be smooth. But due to our diet and lifestyle, if we allow any of this, like either pitta or vata, to aggravate in our body, it can create some imbalance during that transition phase. So more pitta can increase more burning in our body because it represents the fire, right? So hot flashes. But if more vata is aggravating during that phase, then it can increase the dryness and degeneration, depletion in our body. And that can in turn lead to this kind of osteoporosis type of situation. So osteoporosis is a very common problem in postmenopausal women. And hormonal changes can happen during that menopausal phase. So the hormones and the release in hormones is also under the control of this vata energy. So if vata is going out of control during that transition phase, it can end up in a lot of hormonal dysregulation also. Like estrogen, progesterone levels can change. So that can also affect this kind of healthy transition. So we need enough hormones and this cholesterol to hydrate and to keep the tissues in a healthy status. But if we are going through a lot of hormonal dysregulation during that time, because of the vata imbalance, we may end up in having a lot of issues like hot flashes and osteoporosis postmenopausally. So we need to be careful about that transition. It's not like a disease. It's not a disease at all. The menopause and the changes that are happening during the menopause, it's not a disease. But sometimes we see these kind of imbalances. That is when we need to intervene. If we see these kind of imbalances, we need to intervene and we cannot let it happen because after that, there could be something like an osteoporosis condition. So if we see this kind of imbalances, pitta vata imbalance during that menopausal phase, try to manage it with some herbal protocols. You can always reach out to a Vaidya, seek advice from the Vaidya, see which one is out of balance, like pitta or vata, and take some kind of herbal supplements to balance that pitta and vata in your body. And that will in turn help to maintain that bone health also. So it's not just about the deficiency, but the energies, the pitta and vata energies that are doing its function during that menopause is also very important in maintaining the bone health after the menopausal age.
And we can see, as you mentioned, we have these stages in life, and the transition stage then as we go through menopause and andropause into the vata stage of life, obviously there's some depletion happening as we get older. And so there's a lot of need for nourishing the body. We talked about, first of all, at the start of the episode, really making sure that our Agni, our digestive fire, is working efficiently. So we're digesting our food well, we're assimilating it well, but also nourishing the body with good foods, good fats, and making sure that we're nourishing those tissues as we age to make sure that we have this unctuous quality in the body, right? That our tissues are healthy to help us as we age is really important. And you mentioned there about taking oils into the body and oleonation, putting oils on the body with these different practices. And I'd love to talk now about Rasayana, the rejuvenation therapy, which is really important in Ayurveda as well. I think really important in this stage of life, along with our diet and lifestyle, is making sure that we're rejuvenating the body as we're getting older when it needs that rejuvenation.
Of course, that's a very important question and a very important, unique thing in Ayurveda, the concept of Rasayana. So, Rasayana means Rasanam, Ayanam iti Rasayana. So, that can strengthen the channels in our body. So, we need to think about what are these channels. Okay, the channels are some spaces which are delivering the nutrients, essential nutrients to each of these tissues. So, before we discussed about the proper metabolism of the food and the assimilation of the food, for that Agni is needed, right? So, whatever food that we are consuming in, then it is processed and it is broken down into the Ahara Rasa, right? Ahara Rasa is converted to the Rasa Dhatu, that is the circulating nutrients. Then it is converted into the Rakta, that is blood. Then it is converted into Mamsa, that is the muscle. Then to the Meda, that is the fat tissue. And then to the bones. And then to the Majja. Majja can be like bone marrow or like the nervous tissue. Then it goes to the Shukla Dhatu or the reproductive tissue. That is the final 7th tissue. So the optimum level, or if all these tissues are transforming well and healthy enough, then our ojas will be also optimum. Ojas means the vitality, which is the natural strength of our body. So to ensure the optimum level of vitality or the status of the ojas in our body, we need to make sure that all these tissues are also healthy. All the channels are working well so that it is delivering all these nutrients to the tissues like that. So the health of all the tissues is the optimum level of ojas. So Rasayana covers a few aspects, like, of course, it is ensuring the digestion and metabolism, first thing. Then we need to make sure that the channels are clear so that it can deliver the things. The third aspect is the target-oriented delivery of the nutrients to the bone tissue. So if we are keeping this ojas in its optimum level, then that is the natural strength and natural kapha in our body. Okay, that is the bela or the Vyatik Shamata. It's even called as the immunity. So if you have a good vitality ojas in your body, it can fight against the diseases. It can fight against the imbalances. It can maintain a equilibrium in your body. So how to achieve this? How to achieve this the effect of Rasayana in your body? So you can use this kind of Rasayana in your Vata phase of life, when you are going through like a depleted phase or like a degeneration is happening. Then you can use this Rasayana. And also in some cases like post-rehabilitation of fracture, when you are having a break in bone, it need to heal and it need to come back to its normal structure. So you need to give the rejuvenation or Rasayana for this purpose. So how to do this? How to deal with this kind of rasayana? A lot of changes happens in our body throughout our life. Like we can get some kind of cut on our skin and it heals in 3 or 4 days. The same kind of injury, some kind of disturbances can happen internally also in our mucosal linings or in our tissues also. But the body is able to heal that kind of injuries that are happening in our body. It can produce new cells to cover that kind of traumatized area. And it can nourish and it can rebuild the structure that is lost during that kind of injury process. So the healer is within us. We are not like providing a healer. So we all call ourselves healers, but the actual healer is within us. We just need to invoke that healer. We just need to provide enough time and nutrients and a suitable environment to that healer. So the body is your best healer. The body can heal all your ailments. As you are aging, the changes that are happening, it can heal and rejuvenate. As your bonds are breaking, it can heal and rejuvenate. So we just need to provide that environment and we just need to support that process of healing. So the rasayanas, the use of rasayanas help in this process. The body knows what need to be done. If it doesn't know what should be done, then we need to inform it. Okay, this has to be done. And I am giving some support to help with the process. So giving supplements and improving the digestion and providing some kind of formulations or some kind of herbal support which can act like a rasayana is a kind of support for that healer that is within us. And making sure that whatever is given to that process is properly metabolized and it is properly absorbed. So maintaining a proper digestion is very essential when you think about the rejuvenation and rasayana of the bone tissue. The same food items that we discussed in our diet and lifestyle, they can also act as a rasayana. Okay? So ensuring the properties or the digestion and the nutrients that is present in the food items that we are taking in, that is the first step towards that rasayana phase. Then some more rasayana, bone-specific rasayanas are available, like asthi shringala or quadrangularis. The botanical name is quadrangularis. That is a special plant. Its stem just look like bone. Okay, so we just need to listen to the universe, whatever it is showing us. We just need to see that the stem of that plant itself is looking like a bone.
Yeah, which is amazing. There's so many foods that actually look like what they are beneficial for.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And this asthi shringala, we use it as a bone-specific rasayana in many of the formulation. And in our traditional kitchen, I still remember my mother and grandmother, they used to make some kind of food dishes out of this plant. So they just made a paste of this plant and mixed it with the flour, the rice flour and all. And they made some dishes out of this plant, right? So this is a bone-specific rasayana, and nowadays we are using this plant in many of our formulation to facilitate this bone health. And another bone-specific rasayana is laksha. Laksha. So it is available in like a single herb. Actually, it's a resin, and it is You may hear it in the form of like red lac or something. So Laksha is also really good for this bone health. And it is available in the form of Laksha Gugulu or like Laksha Churna. Then the powder of this Laksha can be mixed with either milk or with ghee or with some other Gugulu preparations. That is another resin which is again good for this bone health and the pain related with this bone tissue. So when you take this kind of formulation, it is really helping in improving the bone health. It acts like a rasayana. So in my practice, I was specializing in bone health, and my research topic was also post-trauma management. It was mostly focusing on the fracture and fracture rehabilitation. So in all my cases, like I had to include 100 participants in my research study. So there I included mostly these two formulations containing Laksha and Gandha Taila, which was having sesame seed as the main ingredient. And I could clearly see the changes in the bone tissue in the x-rays. So when you take the x-ray, you can see that the bone is joining, and the gaps in one of those cases, like there was a 1 centimeter gap between that bone fragments. And as they were taking this rasayanas, we were checking the x-rays as well. So clear bond pillars were forming in between that fragments, which was separated. So if these kind of pillars are forming in between that bond fragments, it can heal, it can directly deliver this bond strengthening components, and it can do that rejuvenation of the bone health. Actually, this case, he was suggested for bone grafting, and with our this kind of Ayurvedic herbal supplements and the rasayana, he could avoid that bone grafting. Later, his surgeon told that this was enough. Now the bones can take up that strength, and he could avoid that
Wow.
bond. So,
That's
yeah.
amazing. Fantastic. Yes. And as you said, the body will heal itself given the right environment. Bring the body into a balanced state, it will heal itself. And it's so good to know and for people to understand that these rasayanas can come in many forms. It can come in the food, in therapies, herbs, as you were describing there, and supplements. So it's using nature to heal us and making sure that we're bringing our body into that balanced state. And most importantly, keeping our Agni, our digestive fire, working efficiently, right?
Definitely. So there are different modalities to bring this rasayana effect. So it can be, like you said, it can be through food, the diet and lifestyle that we are following, then the herbal supplements. But before that, we need to make sure that our digestion is working well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a full set of body therapies, like external oleation, internal snehana therapies, that can also improve the bone health. So a few therapies, I can give you some examples, like after the digestive phase, which will help to improve the digestion, we go into the oleation phase, that is intake of ghee, intake of some like oils, medicated oils, right? So then we will go with the cleansing process, like virejana, that is giving laxatives, and enema, that is vasti. So when you clean all your srotases and reset the process of metabolism, the body can naturally heal and rejuvenate all its tissues. Then we can supplement, or we can support the process with adding some more rasayanas also to that process. And when you think about the rasayana effect of the body therapy, I can add one more beautiful therapy to this process, that is Kshira Vasti. In Ayurveda, we say it as Kshira Vasti, that is milk decoction Vasti. And that milk decoction Vasti, which is having enough bitter herbs in it, That is the best supplement, best designer for that bone tissue. So when you are giving it as an enema, it is not just flushing out the fecal material from the bowel, but it is acting as a healing agent for the bone tissue as well. And a study was conducted in our department. Vasti was given after enough digestive phase and oleation phase. And the study tried to assess the bone density. And osteopenic conditions changed to normal bone density. Then the osteoporosis condition, at least they changed to osteopenic or to the normal bone density. So this special Vasti or enema, which contains milk in it, ghee in it, and some bitter herbs in it. So this combination actually works well for this bone tissue as a therapy. So with other therapies, body therapies, when you combine this milk decoction enema, it is directly giving its benefit to the bone tissue, and it helps in bone rejuvenation as well.
Very interesting to hear that study. Thank you for sharing that. And like you said, it's a milk decoction. It's an enema inserted obviously into the rectum for those people who are unfamiliar with it. And there's pitta pacifying bitter herbs in there, but also it's vata pacifying because it's the seat of vata being the colon, the lower lumbar spine. So, and the rectum being very, very absorbing tissue. So it's very pacifying for vata as well, right?
Definitely. It is covering all those factors that we had discussed so far. It is good for Agni, it is good for Pitta, it is good for Vata, and it is cleaning the areas of that bowel, which is the main seat of that Vata. So all together, it is the perfect answer for this kind of bone health.
Vaidya Princy, you have shared so much amazing information with us. I really appreciate you going into so much detail, and you can tell that you're passionate about teaching, and you are a teacher with Kerala Ayurveda USA. And I'd love for you, as we finish up, to tell people more about Kerala Ayurveda and where they can find out more information there if they're interested in studying Ayurveda.
Kerala Ayurveda Melpitas, we have a center here, and we have an academy here. We are offering the courses on Ayurveda on 3 levels. Like the first level is like a health coach and counselor level, where you learn all the basics of Ayurveda and helping with the diet and correcting the imbalances with the diet and lifestyle guidelines is what we mainly focus on, that coach level or that counselor level. Then we have the second level program, that is the practitioner level program, and that is more focusing on the correction of the imbalances, where you can give more like diet and lifestyle suggestion, like a therapeutic type of diet and lifestyle suggestion, and also some herbal supplements which can definitely bring all these kind of effects to the body. And the next program is like a 3-year program, that is the advanced clinical specialist type of program, where you learn these diseases or like the imbalance management in detail. So Vaidyas over here, the co-Vaidyas, the main Vaidyas will be always with you, helping you in learning and in your practice.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I will put a link to Kerala Ayurveda in the show notes if you're interested in learning more about Kerala Ayurveda. And thank you for sharing all this wonderful wisdom.
Thank you, Colette. It was my pleasure to be with you. And see, the knowledge that we have, it has to be shared, right? It's the point, keeping the knowledge with it. It's to help others. So through the students, I can help more number of people. So that's my goal.
Thank you, Vaidya Princy. It's an absolute pleasure. I truly appreciate you taking the time. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Vaidya Princy, and please check out the show notes for the link mentioned. And if you think this episode will be helpful to family or friends, please share it with them so we can spread this wisdom of Ayurveda. And don't forget, I have that upcoming discounted group digestive reset cleanse starting March 28th. So check that out and book your 90-minute online consultation soon. And for all my online services, please check out my website, elementshealingandwellbeing.com. If you haven't already subscribed or followed the podcast, please do so, and the new episodes will automatically download for you. Please come join me on social media. My new Instagram page is Elements of Ayurveda Podcast, and on Facebook, it's Elements Healing and Wellbeing. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take good care of yourself, be well, and bye for now. Slán go fóill.